There's nothing higher in God's priorities than blessing his children. There is absolutely nothing that God would rather do than open back the windows of heaven and just start pouring out his blessings on his children. I'm telling you, it just blesses the heart of God when he gets to do what he desires to do. So often we quote the words of Jesus found in Acts chapter 20, verse 35, when he says, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." And we say it as though this is something you ought to try on occasion. But what we ought to realize is Jesus is not only prophesying or making a recommendation, but Jesus is speaking from experience. Not only does he know this, he lives this way. This is who he is. He feels this joy. So now he tells us, if you want to experience a paramount blessing in your life, give. He's expressing his emotions when he says, it is more blessed, it is more supernatural to give than it is to receive. Ladies and gentlemen, something would be good if we understood about God, and that is God would rather give than get. He speaks in Malachi chapter 3 and verse 8, "Yet ye have robbed me." But you say, "Wherein have we robbed thee?" Then he says, "In tithes and offerings." Often we avoid these wonderful verses because they deal with money. However, you may be overlooking the greatest blessing of your life. Just 2 verses later, in Malachi 3 and 10, God makes it ever so plain. He wants to open the windows of heaven. And God desires to pour you out a blessing so big that there will not be room enough to put it all. This is God's aim. This is God's purpose. This is the heart of God. However, God says, when you hold back, when you refrain from giving, you rob me from the opportunity of doing what I love to do. You've just got to see this. You're robbing God of the blessing God receives when he blesses you. You rob me of the opportunity to bless you when you keep back the seed. When we keep back the tithe and offerings, we are also robbing God of the opportunity that he enjoys so much, being able to bless beyond measure. In verse 10, the Lord says, "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts." Now this is so powerful. God says, just see if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. God has promised. When we give, we are demonstrating the highest action. Giving is what God does. Giving is what God is all about. For God so loved the world that he gave. Giving places you in position for God to do what he had rather do than anything else, and that, my friend, is bless you. God would rather give than get. This is who God is. This is what God does. Nothing pleases God any more than to have the opportunity to give you his very best. Jesus makes it ever so clear. Give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that ye meet withal, it shall be measured unto you again. This is Pastor Arthur Wood reminding you God has big plans for you.